Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi, everyone. This is Chatting with Nat. This is Natalie James and Nathalie Jean. And today we have the honor of having singer-songwriter Mikalyn Hay, hope that I said her name right, between the depth of her voice, substance of her songwriting, and seemingly endless list of awards and achievements, you might be fooled into thinking that Mikalyn has been in the game for decades. But that's easily forgiven, as despite having yet to hit her 20s, the artist's signature off-pop stylings belly her age and blur lines between genre eras, making her music all the more compelling. She obviously takes great pride in her output, showcasing a skillful approach to arrangement and production with a keen attention to detail. She's also an in-demand collaborator, having lent her unmistakable vocals to elevate tracks from Machine Drivers, Öwnboss Zerky, Röde, 39 Kingdom, and others in just 2019 alone. With one-of-a-kind style and unwavering drive, Mikalyn shows no signs of slowing down on her already impressive trajectory. Her song Sleepless Nights streamed over 650,000 in 4 months of release. In 2021, she will make a bold move away from her EDM success with over 2.7 million streams into all pop and indie with a string of strong releases that will leverage and build off her EDM roots. Let's give her a round of applause.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me all right?
How are you?
I'm great.
How do you pronounce your name?
So it's pronounced Mikalyn, but it's okay. I get a lot of pronunciations.
Okay. Mikalyn. So
yes.
How have you been during this entire crazy past, I would say past 2 years, past 6 years, because obviously in the United States we have the elections here and it was cray.
Mm-hmm.
How have you been dealing with everything that's gone on in the world?
It's been definitely very odd. You know, I think it's been odd for everyone. Nobody would have seen this coming, right? So it's just surreal. I remember when we first found out about the pandemic, and I was going to Florida. It was our March break, and it was when it first kind of got to the U.S. and got bad, and I was like, what is this? It'll be over in a month, whatever, it's fine. And then turns out that was super wrong. And I think we've all had to adjust our living styles. We've had to adjust a lot of aspects of our everyday life. But I think a lot of good has come out of it for me, just because I could connect with a wider audience through live streaming that I hadn't done as much before. I live streamed really heavily for the first entire year of the pandemic, really. And also being at home, being with family. I went to university, so that was exciting, and I was able to be on campus despite COVID, which was really lucky because in Canada, not a lot of universities did that last year.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I sometimes lay awake and start to think, did this really happen? Because this is something that normally you would hear about in the 1960s, 1950s, 1940s, not in 21st century. In 2021 and 2020 as well, I had to pinch myself because, with everything that was going wrong, elections, George Floyd, and all this different stuff that's been happening, it was just here's a thing that just literally shut down the world, and it actually made people have to, if you're with somebody or family, it made you have to connect with people that you normally don't connect with. You're so busy and stuff like that. So here's a question that I ask everybody. Obviously, during the pandemic, pandemic's been horrible. People have died, lost limbs. They're still dealing with lingering effects. But there are pros to the pandemic because people had time to really think about who they wanted to be, how they wanted to be, how they wanted to be perceived. I know one of the weirdest things, and I say this all the time, is that, I saw family members walking out in the street, and that shouldn't be an odd thing, but it is odd. I don't see families walking together that much anymore. There were friends of mine, that said they cut back on work because they realized they weren't spending enough time with families. With climate change, people not being in the street, the pollution level went down severely. So the animals, the trees, and all that stuff, they were singing praises, probably thinking, oh, these people may not come back and finally breathe. Then I read a couple of articles of people quitting their jobs. They said a lot of people quit their jobs because it made them realize that, life is really, really short, and they wanted to do something that, made them happy. It's not always about money. And as artists, I know people that decided to rebrand. Some people created new music. Some people just changed everything that they wanted to do about music. So during this time, did you take time to self-reflect, to decide, okay, I'm going to stay doing the same music that I'm doing? Do you want to be a more effective player? What did you think about during the pandemic in regards to your creativity with music?
That's a great question. So I think, honestly, for me, the pandemic was a really big time of growth because, like I said, like you said, we had a lot of time to kind of sit with ourselves, and that's that. And then also, like, connecting online. So for me, like, I started doing Zoom co-writes, which I had never done before, and that allowed me to co-write with people from all around the world. And I definitely started writing a lot more over, like, the course of all of the lockdowns. In Canada, we've had, like, a lot of different, like, lockdown periods. So I've started writing, like, quite a lot more, and I feel like that made me a very, like, strong writer. And I dedicated a lot more time to it than I had before. And it also gave me a lot of time to think about how I want to reapproach my live show, when everything opens up normally again. Like, I want to incorporate a band, and I was able to research and make, like, mood boards and all of that for, like, my next project, which I kind of had an idea of it, but I didn't have it formulated until the pandemic, like, gave me time to sit down and really think about it. And I'm lucky because my family is very supportive, so they didn't mind helping me out. My dad helped me with all of my live streams, helped me figure out how to shoot videos and all of that. So the pandemic gave me a lot of time to kind of figure out what my next steps were. And as much as it's crazy that it happened and it is so awful, I'm also, on the other hand, kind of like, we're never going to experience something like this again, hopefully, fingers crossed. And so living through it is just insane because this is going to be history one day.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping that we don't have to go through this again. They're starting to open up a lot of things back up here in the United States, and and curbing the rules on the mask. But I actually think it's too soon to do all of that because there's plenty of people that are still not vaccinated, don't plan on getting vaccinated, and they're actually looking at what's going to happen during the winter because that's when the virus can thrive. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But in any case, we need to get back to a state of sanity and get back to doing the things that we need to do to get through this life. Now, how did you get started in music? Was it something that you heard, something that you saw? What was it that said that Mikalyn is the person that needs to do music, that music is you?
Yeah, so there was never officially, like, a starting point, I think, for me, because it's just always been something that I've done. I grew up with a pretty musical family. My mom has 4 sisters, and they used to sing. They had a little group called the Stapleton Sisters. Okay. And my dad has always appreciated music. He, like, did music growing up, but both my parents are athletes. So they put us in, like, piano and stuff and soccer and all of the sports to kind of, like, make sure we were well-rounded, me and my sisters. And I was literally the worst. Like, I was the kid in the middle of the soccer field, like, sitting down and picking dandelions while the game was, like, going around me. So I was never a big fan of sports, but one thing that I did love was singing. So I remember my first live performance, and I'm putting air quotes up as I say that, was at my school talent show when I was 4. and I sang Irish Lullaby because it was the only song I knew all the words to.
Right.
And from that point forward, I kind of never looked back. My parents put me into voice lessons, and I always loved reading and writing and telling stories. So songwriting kind of just seemed like a natural next step. So first, like, I remember my first songs, like I had one called Horses that I wrote when I was 6, had one called Lollipop Land, you know, all of those, like, those beginner ones. And then I just kind of never really looked back, and I'm lucky because I've been supported every step of the way, really.
That's awesome. It's great to grow up with music around you. My father's also a singer, so and a bunch of family members are into music, so I understand that aspect of growing around everything that's musically oriented. I myself didn't know I played music at all. I love to dance, and but I was extremely shy as a kid, and I'm always baffled at the fact that I'm in music because there was no way. There was just no way. Now, you mentioned here in your bio that your song "Sleepless Nights" streamed over 650,000 in 4 months of release. How did that happen? Because the reason I asked that question is, I mean, the song is probably fantastic, phenomenal, but as independent artists, we're always trying to get people to listen to our music, and we have to market and be on all these social media platforms and keep pushing every single day. So what was your key to this successful release in 4 months? Because that's really good. That's damn good. So go ahead. Let us know.
Okay, so that one kind of has like a bit of an interesting story because I wrote Sleepless Nights on my own, and it was a song that I recorded on my own. I filmed a music video for it, and then I decided I didn't want to release it. So I was like, you know what, like this is just not going to happen. But then a group called Röde, Beats, it's like this record label in Brazil that I've worked with before and that I kind of continue to work with. We have another release coming out soon. They reached out and asked if they could have the stems. So I was like, you know what, like I'm not doing anything with the song anyway, like I'll send it over. Nice. And then it got remixed and released as an EDM song, and the EDM scene in Brazil is like huge. It's like one of the most popular genres there. So the streams in Brazil like just were growing and growing and growing. And I remember checking my Spotify for artists and seeing like the amount of streams in Brazil, and it was just so surreal to me because I mean, I'm from Canada. I didn't really think I had much of an audience there, but since it was an EDM song and it was put out by like a producer there, they all really liked it, and it got added to a bunch of really awesome playlists. And so now it's doing very well, and I'm pretty happy with it.
No, I mean that's really good. I mean, so you're pretty popular in Brazil, right?
Somewhat. Like for my EDM music, yes. And then the funny thing is, like, a lot of my listeners are from Brazil, and then they listen to a lot of my EDM music, but my like indie pop stuff they don't listen to as much. That's more popular in like Canada, the US, and New Zealand.
So now you're straying a little bit from the EDM stuff and now going more into alt pop. So why are you deciding to do that?
So basically, I have always like gravitated towards alt pop, indie pop, like since I was very young. Since I became like a very big music fan, like my biggest musical inspiration is Marina, who was formerly like Marina Diamonds, and she was kind of in the same genre with like Lana Del Rey and Melanie Martinez. So I kind of grew up listening to that music, and it influenced my writing a lot. And so a lot of the songs that are remixed and out now as EDM songs started off like on the piano as kind of like indie pop or like that type of genre songs, and then they were remixed and put out as EDM songs. But I've always been writing like this indie pop, alt pop genre. And then I started recording more music with my friend Chris, who is also my co-writer producer, and we wrote like my next EP is almost all like indie pop, and I feel like it's the music that is the most me. So I'm really excited to release like all of that. I have 2 of those singles out now on my Spotify, so you can kind of listen and compare the 2 from like the EDM to the indie pop. But I definitely feel like it's more authentic to me, and it's, you know, it's what I want the world to like know of me. And as much as I love like top lining and like doing songs that are EDM, this is like what's more authentic to me.
Well, that was my next question. You know, how important is it for you to be authentic? And I asked that question because, and I asked that of everybody, because my whole vibe is authenticity. Because if you listen to a lot of mainstream artists out there, and I don't like to poo-poo on them, you know, it's the same basic thing. Love, breakup, all of that. And everybody goes through that, but people go through a lot more in life. And what I really discovered in this past year is that the music industry doesn't really understand the aspect of social impact message songs, where people, you know, obviously we want to chart, we want to make money and stuff like that, but there's some artists that are totally geared towards helping other people, making sure that their music is connecting with people that really need it. So how important is it for your music to be authentic and relatable to your audience?
It's like very important to me because for all of the reasons that you said, and like I said, like I've been writing a lot more lately, and I've grown up doing music. Like I started writing songs very seriously when I was like 11. So every change that I've gone through as a person in my life, like, has been reflected by the songs that I write. And some of those aren't out. Some of them I just post to like YouTube or TikTok or like Patreon. But I found that some of the songs that are the most raw and honest for me are the ones that resonate the most with other people over the more mainstream sounding ones. And I grew up like doing choir, and I grew up, like I said, with sisters. So like harmonies and like layers in songs, it's like very important to me. I want all of my songs to have cool harmonies and cool like atmospheric sounds, because that's what I grew up with, and like that's what I love to listen to. And as a writer, I think authenticity is important because it helps you stand out, but also like there's somebody out there who has the exact same feeling or thought or is going through a very similar thing to what I'm going through maybe. And so by putting that feeling into words, writing a song about it, like I know whenever I'm going through something, I go straight to music. I have a playlist for everything. So I think that it's really important to kind of be honest and say things that, you know, you might be a little scared to say, but that everybody feels, you know?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. And what I've told a lot of people is that what I've noticed, you know, with all this pandemic stuff and the election stuff and fake news and all this stuff, during these past couple of years or 6 years, people have been wanting to get something that's real, that's honest. Because we've had so much with dishonesty in our world and things that are affecting our health and stuff like that. People want something relatable. They want that. They need that. You know, when I did a webinar on TikTok, and one of the things they talked about was that their most popular videos are people that are being authentic, just being themselves, because that's relatable. Like, yeah, people like the pop artists and they like to listen to those songs, but they can't relate. You know, and I always talk about this. Now, when Adele won, she beat Beyonce for Lemonade album. People just didn't get it. Even Adele didn't get it. But I can tell you why she won, because people can relate to Adele. They can't know her. They know about the breakup. They know all the stuff that she's going through. You could feel like you could pick up the phone and say, oh, Adele, this song, it just got me. Or you could DM her. Beyonce, you can't do that. And I'm not trying to Beyonce is a great performer. She puts on a great show. She can sing. But when she sings, I don't feel anything. But when Adele sings, I can feel something. And these people so don't understand how all that Grammy stuff works anyway. That's the other side of it. That's the flip side of things. But that's why people voted for Adele. They can relate to that. And what these mainstream artists are going to start to have to understand is that independent artists are coming on the rise. We all write our own stuff. We don't have 12 songwriters on our one song like Beyonce does. We're doing something of our own. We're putting everything we have into our music, and that's why it's that independent artists, you know what? They're about to push those mainstream artists to the side. Now we have to work on the radio people, because all they want to inundate you is with the same songs, same damn people. We just have to keep pushing and pushing. Now, what do you love about being artist the most? What is it that you love?
Oh God, there's so many things that it's hard to just pick like a top few. But one of the big things that I really love is the community. And I know sometimes like it can be like hard to find your place in the community, that type of thing. But for me, I was embraced in it. I entered like the Songwriters Association of Canada when I was 10. And like technically you're not allowed to get a membership until you're like, I don't even remember the age, but I was too young. And I messaged them and I kind of like was like, please, can I be a part of this? And they were like, yes. And like I've had so many amazing artists like take me under their wing and like songwriters like and mentor me that I don't even know where I'd be without them. Like I've been so blessed to meet the people that I have. And like for example, Don Grierson, he was an A&R guy for I believe it was Capitol. And he mentored me when I was like 11 and kind of took me under his wing. And when I went to LA for the first time, he like met me for dinner. And this guy has like worked with Celine Dion, and he's like sitting here having like an honest conversation with me over dinner. Like the community is just something that like I really love and respect. And like I've met some of my best friends and favorite people through the musician community and through the artist community. And then, of course, also performing live is always a great, like, there's so many awesome aspects, like, as much as it is a hard industry, and I feel like sometimes people don't talk about that enough. Like, I know for people who aren't artists, I think they think that it's a little bit easier than it is, a lot easier than it is. But the community just makes it amazing, and there are a lot of really, really great aspects of it. But, yeah, that's what I'd say one of my favorite parts is.
Amen to that. So I'm going to play your song, Blame. Tell us what that's about.
Blame. Okay, so that is my latest single. This song is very special to me. I wrote it back in January of this year with my friend Chris. And we wrote it about, at the time, I told everyone it was about my friend's relationship. She had talked to me like the day before about kind of what she was going through. She was going through something with her boyfriend of 4 years, and he was just being so mean. Like, he was being awful. And she was telling me all this stuff, and I was like, okay, this is like bad. And she was like, I know. So then the next day, like, I went to the studio with Chris, and I was like, I need to think of something to write. So I started writing Blame, and like we kind of came up with the concept and stuff, and it's about a relationship that's kind of dying out, and you realize that it's more one-sided, and you're kind of done with, you know, excusing their actions. But then secretly on the other side, it was also kind of about my own relationship at the time. But I was at that place where I was like, I'm just not going to talk to anyone about this because I don't want him to look bad. So then it was also about like my own personal experience, but I didn't admit that till like recently. So yeah, it's a special song to me, and it's just about putting your foot down and being like, you know what, I'm not going to be doing this anymore.
Amen to that. All right, let's play it.
Like me better when we're in the dark, but we don't get to talking. Oh, where is the spark? And I try to forget it. Feels like we're falling out of love. What's with being quiet? You're killing me with silence. You're not getting better. Never gonna change. Said you would be different, but you're staying the same. And I'm a little chances. No, I shouldn't wait. Feels like forever. I'm done taking the blame. 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 I'm done taking the. I've been in the shadows. Don't know where we stand, 'cause every time I reach out, you push away my hand. You know how much I love you, so I have to let it end. thought you would be different, but you're staying the same. And I'm a little chances. No, I shouldn't wait. Feels like forever. I'm done taking the blame. 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 I'm done taking the
I think everybody can relate to that song.
Thank you.
Everybody wants to always blame you for everything when they need to look in the mirror and see the stuff that they do. And I just recently released a song with a friend called I'm Done. And my song is about friendships, a friendship that I was done with because of their back and forth, not here attitude. I was like, fool me 4 times. That's it. I'm done. You know?
Yeah.
So I can relate. I'm tired of taking the blame and people thinking that you're just this wonderful person. I'm not doing it anymore. No,
Good for you. Good for you.
I mean, but this past 2 years, I can tell you this. I've learned a lot about family and friends, some that have been blocked and deleted, and I've made some new friends at the same time. I think in life you have to decide what's best for you. I mean, you need positive energy around you. You don't need people that are going to be negative and phony and all kinds of things. Because you know, I always say this: you need to love yourself first.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
So how do you go about your songwriting process? And if you get writer's block, how do you deal with that?
So for my songwriting process, I'm a very melody-driven writer. So a lot of the times I will have an idea and then I will immediately go to either guitar or piano and map out some chords, or sometimes I'll start with the chords first and just kind of be playing around on my instrument, and then I hear something that I like and kind of gives me an idea of the mood. And then from there, like my voice memos are a whole mess because there's like 100 voice memos a song. So I will like start kind of jotting down ideas, mumbling absolute gibberish, and then at some point usually a lyric forms. And then when I'm co-writing, for example, like we'll freestyle over something for like a little bit if I'm writing with like a producer. But when I'm writing with my guitar teacher, James, who I write with like at least once a week, usually I'll come with like a few lines already, and then he will edit those, make them 100 times better, because it's always, I love co-writing because you can get other people's input and ideas, and like it's awesome. He'll usually come in and edit and like help me out, and then we'll finish the rest of the song together. But in terms of writer's block, I went through like a few, like, well, when you've been writing for a while, like it's bound to happen. There's times where like I will run out of ideas. So one way that I actually found helped is I get somebody to send me a song that I don't know. So like, for example, I didn't know like a few Norah Jones songs, and my dad or someone would send me the lyrics, and then I would write a melody for it, not knowing what the actual melody was. So that kind of gets me moving musically. Another thing that I've tried a few times is like cutting up, well, I guess now there's probably apps you can do this, and it would be a lot easier, but cutting up all the different chords in Roman numerals, and then picking out like 4, and then you have to make something with those 4 chords. So that for melody like helps me a lot to kind of just like, sometimes I find I'll get stuck in a rut and be doing the same thing like over and over again, and that's like a way to switch it up. And then lyrically, I think writer's block, I either get help from co-writers, and so like my guitar teacher James, like see if he has any ideas that week, just to get me writing in the first place, like even if we're not writing a song for me, writing a song for him type of thing. Or I read more, and I make sure that I'm like listening more to like the news, or I'm a big reader, so like reading books and writing a song.
Wow.
whatever I'm like reading about, or writing parallels to songs that I've already written. That's a new one that I've been trying. So
yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, songwriting can be an interesting thing. I always tell people I still write on paper because I can't be on the screen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's words on the screen sometimes, and then I work with the chorus first, and then work around the chorus to create something. Now, do you play an instrument?
Yeah, I play piano and guitar.
See, still trying to learn how to play something. My instrument are my vocals, and the past 5 years I've said I'm going to open this. I bought a smart keyboard to learn how to play, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. I think it's better when someone knows how to play something. I tried doing the guitar, but I felt like a contortionist. My body was just like, no. And then somebody recently said, they make guitars for women. So I may try to go back into the whole guitar thing. I don't know. Maybe
I have a smaller guitar for that exact reason. Like, I have the Ed Sheeran Martin guitar, and it's like a smaller frame, and I love it. It works because, yeah, like you said, like my fingers don't move like that. I'm a piano player. Like, I was not used to it.
Oh my gosh. Now, what part do you like the most? Do you like the listening to the finished product, or do you like the whole production side of actually creating the song?
Oh, that is such a good question because there's like pros and cons for both. I mean, of course, I love hearing the finished product, but there's something that's like special about creating it and kind of making it form into its final version to be like perfected. So I'd say I definitely like the process of making the song a little bit more. Like, I mean, I love them both, but in terms of like, I just love the creative process. I think it's one of the best parts of being a musician.
Yeah, I was in the studio yesterday and I created. I like to do weird stuff. I like to put instruments that people may not hear together. I want to do something that that's not always like what people expect. And so I do Americana. I do a lot of different genres, but right now I'm focused on Americana, and I said, is there any dark Americana country music? And I actually researched it. And there's like, I didn't know there was like gothic country, which is interesting to me.
That's cool. I had no idea. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. There's like all this like alternative and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I did a song yesterday that was based on the pandemic and how an extrovert would feel like if they were stuck at home. And I keep listening back and forth. And I even have to get used to what I did. Because it's so out of form of something that I do. I'm like, do I even like this? And then I listened to it this morning. No, I like it because it's different. But I even have to get used to it because it's not the normal Americana. It's not the normal folk or singer-songwriter or pop that I do. And I'm like, no, this is different. And I created it so that, more for sync than anything else because I could hear it in like a movie. If I needed to, if I wanted to send it. So is that something also that you're interested in doing? What is your ultimate goal with your music? Because obviously you have a great voice for sync and licensing too.
Thank you. Well, first of all, that sounds like really cool. I love like experimenting in the studio. So I think that that's like awesome that you do that. And then I think for sync for myself, I've been trying to research it more because and that's where I'm kind of like, I don't entirely know too much, but I was a part of a program over the summer called Canadian Musicians Cooperative, and that was my summer job, and we learned a lot about sync licensing and the like whole like legal side of it, the ins and outs. So I want to get into that for sure because I think like I love being an artist and I also love songwriting. So I like writing for other people, and I would love to do both. My end goal is to be like a working touring musician and to build up my fan base to the point where I can go and do like I would love to do like mid-sized general admission venues because those are always my favorite concerts. But I would also love to like write for other people. Like I know Taylor Swift, she does that. She writes for like so many other people under like a fake name, and sometimes she gets found out about it, sometimes she doesn't. But either way, she's still writing for other people while writing for herself.
Yeah, I'll have to send you some of the places where you can submit your music.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I have a list of places. So I'm going to play your song, I Love You Too Much. Tell us what that's about.
Oh, that was my first like indie pop single that I released like without like after releasing only EDM for a little while. So that song also like means a lot to me. I Love You Too Much is basically it. So it's also on my EP, and it kind of goes in like a story almost with all the songs on the EP. And it's the song that comes before Blame, in that you're starting to realize that there's an issue with the relationship. And you're not ready to face it yet, but you're starting to like acknowledge that there's a problem, and you're kind of realizing that it's one-sided, more one-sided than you'd like it to be. And I don't think at this point in the song like you're ready to completely let go, but by Blame you are. So it's like the step before that. I wrote it secretly about my own relationship again, but I also wrote it just about like a lot of my friends go through it. Like we all go through it. Everyone goes through it. Everyone has, their heartbreak story. So that was the inspiration behind I Love You Too Much.
All right, let's play it.
I just wanted everything to be okay, like it used to be. Push my feelings to the side and walk away to avoid the pain. Words that I don't say, and I hate the thought of you without me. Now I'm overthinking and I can't breathe. No one ever said love is easy, but no one ever said it'd be this hard. And I can tell that you can tell that something isn't right, but I just wanna know who you've been talking to all night. Feeling like we're fading, yeah, I'm feeling out of touch. Know that you don't treat me right, but I love you too much. Way too much to quit, too much to leave. I can't let go. I keep trying, you go silent. Feels like I'm alone. It's the little things that seem to bring me down in my feelings now. Got a lot of issues that we work around, filling me with doubt, and I'm tired out. I know you're no good for me. Still I try and try, but I can't leave. No one ever said love is easy, but no one ever said it'd be this hard. And I can tell that you can tell that something isn't right, but I just wanna know who you've been talking to all night. Feeling like we're fading, yeah, I'm feeling out of touch. Know that you don't treat me right, but I love you too much. Way too much to quit, too much to leave. I can't let go. I keep trying, you go silent. Feels like I'm alone.
What are 3 things you wish you had known before you got into the music industry?
Oh God. Okay. 3 things that I wish I had known is it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I mean, I think everybody should know that, and I kind of did know that going into it, because luckily for me, I did have people who told me that. But of course, when you're like 11, you're still like, okay, and like you don't really know what a marathon is versus a sprint. I mean, yeah. So that's like number 1. Number 2 would be network as much as you can. I think I've kind of learned that over the years. I think it's very important to meet people, because you need support in this industry. It's hard, and like it can get really depressing at times. And I think you can get easily discouraged. But if you have people in your corner, people that know what you're going through, that makes the world of difference.
Right.
And then number 3 is, oh God, now I have like 4. Number 3 is make sure you enjoy the ride, and then also be careful of who you trust, because there are people out there who try to kind of prey on people's dreams. Like, that's right. So got to be very careful.
Amen to that. I mean, I don't know. They have like a radar. As soon as they see somebody trying to do something in the music industry or independent artist, and they see that you're trying, they just zap onto you, and they're just like, oh, I can make your dreams come true, but you've got to pay me this. Yeah.
They like spawn. I swear to God, it's insane.
I always tell people, please do your due diligence, do your research. If anybody comes and contacts you, has an agreement for you, get a lawyer. Read it yourself. If you can't afford a lawyer, I mean, there's plenty of pro bono people that will do stuff. Find somebody that's well educated in the music business, that you don't sign your life away, you give away a lot of stuff. One of my pet peeves with the music industry is that particular thing. On LinkedIn, sometimes people will contact me and they'll say, oh, I really like your music. I really would like to help you, blah, 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 blah. And then what they do is that they want you to purchase all these a la carte services that they have on their platform. I don't like that. I so don't like to do that. No. What I'm looking for is what they used to do back in the day. Somebody listens to your music, they really like you, they want to invest their time in you, and they make money when you make money. See, this is what needs to happen. It's not, well, let me pay for this. You're not even guaranteed to get anything out of the stuff that you paid for. But when somebody works hard for you and they know that they're going to get paid, once you get paid, that's when they put everything, all their energy into you. I'm so done with it. So this guy contacted me on LinkedIn. I was like, well, I'm not into this. I said, then he started saying, well, you don't know about music business. I said, you're talking about to the wrong person, because I'm well aware about a lot of things in the music. You guys are trying to take advantage of people that are in this industry. And I said, you didn't even research me, because if you went on my website, you see I've done a lot.
Yeah, exactly. You know your stuff. Yeah.
It's just crazy how they want to manipulate you and say, oh, well, I can do so much for you. He said, well, I can get you signed on a label. I said, did I say I wanted to be signed? I never said I wanted to be signed. I don't want anybody to take my stuff. It's
exactly.
Like they don't pay attention. It's just crazy. So
it's
I'm with you on that. Now, one last thing. What is a quote, message, or affirmation, or prayer, or whatever you use to push you when it comes to your music, your life? Sometimes we get so overwhelmed in doing this music business because it's a lot of work. And something I know every day I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, because it is a lot of work. I was crazy in October and released 6 songs back to back and trying to market all this. Yeah, that's insanity. Never do that. I'm telling everybody.
Oh my God.
Unless you have a team that's I'm doing everything myself. Yeah, don't do it. But yeah, is there something that you say or do that really pushes you throughout the day when you're feeling like, oh my God, this is too much?
Something that I do, and a habit that I kind of have, is even if I don't feel like doing music, there'll be days where I'm like, I really don't want to practice, right? Or like, I really don't want to write. But instead, on those days, like, I make sure that I just pick up my guitar. I find guitar over piano, because like I've been playing piano longer, and just like spend a few minutes on my own, in my own head, just doing what I love and just playing random chords and taking the pressure off, and like kind of an affirmation / prayer type of thing that I like to do every night is I've gotten really into affirmations lately, like affirmation videos on YouTube and that type of thing. Making sure that I'm always grateful for the opportunities that I've had, and making sure that I'm grateful for where I'm at now. Just being thankful for that, and being aware of my privilege that I've had the opportunities that I've had. I feel like acknowledging that, it's really like a humbling experience, and it keeps me going, and just remembering that this is what I love, and thanking God for creativity and the opportunities that I've been given.
Amen to that. Well, you heard it here. Mikalyn, if I'm saying that right.
You are, you're good.
Well, thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. It's been awesome talking to you. I hope one day we can do a Instagram Live. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome.
I've learned a lot. And by the way, while we were on, because I like to multitask, while we were chatting here, I emailed you some of the sync places that you can upload your music to.
You're an angel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you can check that out.
Sweet.
I think you have an amazing voice. Obviously, you're incredibly talented. That's without a doubt. And, I wish you much success. Thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been super fun, and I'm looking forward to when we can talk again.
Definitely. All right, everybody. This was Chatting with Nat with singer-songwriter Mikalyn Hay. You can find her on Facebook, Mikalyn Hay Music. Website is www.mikalynmusic.com. She's on Instagram, she's YouTube, Twitter, or you know what? Just Google. Google is a friend of yours. It's a friend of mine. You can find her there. Until next time on Chatting with Nat. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.